Okay, let's get into it. We're doing a deep dive today, really unpacking a fundamental topic for new parents. Feeding your baby.
Yeah, and we're working from a specific source here, an information folder for new parents from the Hillingdon Hospital's NHS.
Exactly. So our mission really is to pull out the core essentials from this folder, cut through the noise a bit, help you feel informed quickly about the options they present.
And right off the bat, it's clear this folder frames it as more than just nutrition. The choices and the methods, they list quite significant benefits for both mom and baby.
Absolutely. For mums, for instance, it points out links between breastfeeding and reduced risks of certain cancers later on, specifically breast and ovarian cancer.
And osteoporosis, too,
Yeah.
it mentions, which is, a pretty impactful long-term benefit highlighted right there.
It really is. And then for the baby, the list is, well, it's quite extensive.
Yeah, things like less chance of gastroenteritis, UTIs, chest infections, ear infections.
Right. And it also suggests reduced risks for things like type 2 diabetes, obesity, even allergies like asthma and eczema down the line. It lays out a strong case.
Definitely. So diving into the breastfeeding basics covered here, the folder really emphasizes that golden hour.
Yes, that time immediately after birth, all about skin-to-skin contact.
Exactly. And what's interesting is how they frame it. It's not just for initiating feeding. This contact helps with bonding. It calms both parent and baby.
Helps regulate temperature, breathing, heartbeat too, right?
Precisely. And importantly, they note these skin-to-skin benefits apply no matter how you plan to feed, formula or breast.
That's a really crucial point. It's universal.
Hmm.
Okay, and then there's that amazing first milk colostrum.
Colostrum, yes. The folder describes it really vividly concentrated, often yellow or gold in color. It's packed with antibodies, to kickstart the baby's immune system.
Kind of like their first immunization.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
And it even acts as a natural laxative. Helps the baby pass that first sticky poo, the meconium.
Which, surprisingly, helps reduce the risk of jaundice, according to this folder.
It does. And what's really striking about colostrum and early milk is how little the baby actually needs at first.
Right. The stomach size thing is fascinating. This folder says at 24 hours, it's tiny, maybe 5 to 7 milliliters, like a marble.
Exactly. And then it grows. But even by 3-5 days, it's maybe 22, 27 milliliters, then up to like 60, 85 milliliters by 10, 12 days.
Understanding that tiny capacity really shifts your perspective on feeding frequency, doesn't it? Explains why they need those little frequent feeds early on.
Totally. Which leads directly into responsive feeding, something the folder emphasizes for breastfeeding.
Feeding the baby whenever they show hunger cues for as long as they want.
Yeah, and it explains this isn't just about comfort. It helps ensure baby gets enough milk. It helps establish and maintain the mom's supply.
Prevents engorgement, too, that uncomfortable fullness.
And helps the baby feel secure. It's all interconnected.
Okay, so shifting gears to the formula feeding guidance in the folder, there's a really critical point made right up front.
Yes, and it's a safety point. Powdered infant formula is not sterile.
Not sterile. Okay, that sounds serious. So what does that mean you absolutely have to do?
Well, it means there could potentially be harmful bacteria in the powder itself. So the folder is really strict on this hygiene rule. You must use freshly boiled water that's been cooled, but only down to at least 70 degrees Celsius.
70 degrees. That specific temperature is needed to kill any bacteria in the powder.
That's the key. Kill the bacteria before it cools further. Then, obviously, you cool the bottle down to a safe feeding temperature before giving it to the baby. It's presented as completely non-negotiable for safety.
Got it, 70 degrees. Okay. And interestingly, just like with breastfeeding, the folder also talks about responsive bottle feeding.
Yes, it stresses it's not just about giving the bottle, but how you do it. Holding the baby close, slightly upright.
Watching their cues, giving them breaks if they need them.
And crucially, never propping the bottle. That's a major safety point, too. It's about letting the baby control the pace, promoting that connection.
It really brings home that the bonding, the connection time, isn't exclusive to one method.
Absolutely. So whether it's breast, formula, or a mix, this NHS folder gives that foundational info from the science of milk and those first moments to safe prep and responsive feeding.
And it does acknowledge, doesn't it, that things aren't always straightforward. It lists resources, helplines, support groups.
Yes, support is definitely highlighted as available, which is important.
Okay, so to recap our deep dive into this NHS folder.
Yeah.
We've seen the surprising long-term benefits listed for mom and baby, the details about colostrum and those tiny newborn stomachs.
That absolutely critical 70-degree rule for formula safety, and this shared principle of responsive feeding, whether breast or bottle.
Right. So here's a final thought to leave you with, stemming directly from this source material. given that this folder emphasizes responsive feeding and skin-to-skin contact as beneficial for both feeding methods.
Consider this. How you feed that closeness, the responsiveness, being present, be just as fundamental for your bond and your baby's well-being as the what you feed.
Something to mull over, and if you do need that support, definitely check out the resources mentioned in the source material itself.